After completing the design of your project, it's time to export your project and get it ready to 3D print. So the first thing to do is you want to come up to the top and go to Save As. After opening Save As, you're going to want to find wherever it is yours is going to be stored. I'm just going to go to the desktop real quick so it's easy to find for the next step. I'm going to save it whatever name I need. And the big key here is I have to change the file type. When I open up the file type, you're going to see a whole ton of options. The one I'm looking for is STL. This is the type of file that we can bring into our 3D printer software. Most 3D printers can accept an STL file. So once we do that, mine is going to be called base.stl because I just opened up a random part that I had that would work for this project. So go ahead and do save. You're going to see it go all kind of weird and triangle-y, and then you say yes. Once you've done that, you're done with SolidWorks. To make it easy, I'm just going to minimize it. And I'm going to now be on my desktop. You can see my base.stl is also here. The software that I need is called 3DWalks Desktop. It's right here. It's kind of this navy blue square icon. So I'm going to double click that to open it up. Now, as it opens, since this is the first time you've ever opened your software on your computer, it's going to ask you to select your printer model. Okay? Even if you're doing an assignment where all you're doing is actually checking what the stats are about your 3D print, you will need to select a model. When you drop this down, find the one that says 3DWalks 1. We have several of these printers in our school, so we're going to just use that as the base model. Then you go ahead and click OK. After that, it'll open. Even though it's not connected to a specific printer, it'll still give you all the information that you need. So one of the best things about saving my STL file onto the desktop is that it is very easy to drag in. The bad part is it lives on the desktop, so it's not a very secure location, so we wouldn't want to store long-term files here, but a quick file that I just need for this is not a big deal. So as I drag this over the software and let go, it will import my part, and it'll just drop it in here. Now, I'm going to do one thing before I have the software tell me the best orientation for this to print. I'm going to click Settings, and I'm going to make sure Support Material Placement is set to Everywhere. Okay? You want to make sure that that's the case. These are your settings that you should have, again, even if you're just checking out to see what it would be like to print this. We're going to say Apply and OK. Once we've told it that, I need to make sure my part is selected. Now it's hard to tell. You can see right now my part is selected because it's got what looks like this little miniature pink hot air balloon above it. If I click off of it, that goes away and it gets a slightly lighter yellow color. So I want to make sure it's selected, and the Analysis tab will be available. When I drop this down, Optimize Print Direction is the option I want. I'm going to get this 6-pack of windows, and then we're going to click Analyze. And what it does is it basically judges, flipped in 6 different directions, the ability to print it. And it will tell you in this kind of dark blue which one is the best. Now, the way that it knows which one the best is it looks to minimize thin regions, so minimize how many thin parts you would have, minimize overhang, and minimize how much support material you need. And the little graph on the side tells you how good it is at those various things. So this is the one I want, and when I click Select, it flips it in that direction. Now, if I needed to fit more parts on here, I could move this over and bring in more parts, and each part has to be separately analyzed. So if you have multiple parts to your project, you might need to bring all of them in, orient them in the best way for them to print individually, and then get ready for the next step. So once I have all my parts in here that I want to know information about printing them, I'm going to come over to this side menu, and I'm going to find the one that looks like a stack of pancakes. When I click on that, it slices my part, which means it takes very small layers of my part individually and creates what would be needed to create that with the settings currently as they are, out of plastic. All right, so I want to give you a tour of the screen, some information that you might need to know, especially if you're doing an assignment around this. At the very top is your time, okay? It says it will take a 3D Walks 1 printer 2 hours and 21 minutes to print this part with the settings exactly how they are, okay? And when it does that, it's going to use 20.2 grams of plastic to create it. So that's how much plastic will be used to create my part. Now I have a little interesting slider setup right here. First off, it says 204 and 204. 204 is the number of layers that it sliced my part into. So this part is going to be made for 204 different layers. And if I want to see what each layer is doing, I can zoom in a little bit. And then I can tell by the different colors. So this pinkish color is a top surface. Okay, so it's the top shell. The red is a side shell. Okay, the dark blue at the bottom is what's called a raft. This is what sticks my part to the base on the printer temporarily. Okay, and this light blue in the center is my support material. It holds that up because it couldn't print this whole loop otherwise. As I drag this down, you can see it goes down by the layer. So now I'm on, the top is 204. I'm on layer 173. So after it's gone 173 times, this is exactly how it would look. So I have some yellow showing up, which is the inner side shell. And then I have some green showing up. And this is what's called the infill. So this part is not solid. It is hollow with this kind of crisscross honeycomb structure inside to keep the part from falling apart. I can actually take this all the way down to see the first layer, and that's the first layer when it builds the raft. And you can see the part is there in kind of this ghost image. So I can also do this. One of the things that this helps me do is locate any support material. So there you can see this blue support material is holding up the inside of the hole. So if I'm asked on an assignment, where do I have support material? For this part, I would say the inside of the hole. Yours might be under an edge, okay, on a certain side or something like that. Okay, this is basically how your part would be printed and how to find all the information that you would need if you're asked this on an assignment. If you're using this to actually print it and you're connected to a printer, after you've double checked everything, you would then click print. It would show you a quick little video image of what's inside the printer to make sure there's no parts there, and you would hit OK, and it'll send the file to the printer. The nice part about our printers is that you don't have to remain logged in to have your part print. It will just print and come out when it's done. That's the end of what you need to know about 3D printing your project.